Welcome to the Beyond the Years podcast, a podcast about all things Disney.
Welcome to episode 5. Today we're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Star Wars show that just dropped this week on Disney+. So they did drop 2 episodes, so we're going to talk about both episode 1 and episode 2, as well as Josh is going to talk about the Star Wars Celebration news at the end of the podcast. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the episodes.
Yep.
Okay. Overall thoughts for you?
It made me want to watch the prequel movies
Yeah, for sure.
again.
I'm like in a Star Wars mood right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
We both have our Star Wars cups.
Yep.
We're drinking out of.
Yep. What can I say other than like nostalgia? Really, because that's like those are the movies that we really grew up on.
Mm-hmm. I remember Revenge of the Sith, like having to wait for that to come out, which is crazy because now we have all of these other shows that have come out. We have 7, 8, 9 and Han Solo that have come out. So it's crazy to think that I had to wait
on those movies.
Yeah, we had to wait on those.
Yeah. We were never into them like when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we watched the movies because my great aunt was into the movies, like the Star Wars movies. But, beyond that, like, it wasn't like we're waiting for the movie theater. It was more like we're waiting on a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
But you were like born, or like not born in a different. You were raised in a different home.
We both watched a lot of TV and movies, I would say, but the type of TV and movies that we watched were different. So I was raised watching like Terminator and Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and you watched a lot of like Westerns, right, with your dad.
Yeah.
I mean, amongst other things.
Yeah.
But I did not watch that. Okay, so nostalgia, because we have Obi-Wan, yeah, of course, Ewan McGregor, and then Hayden Christensen's back as well. I felt like this felt like Star Wars. I haven't watched all 3 of the new movies, 7, 8, and 9. I don't even know the names of them. They don't feel like Star Wars to me. I think I watched
The Force. You like The Force Awakens?
I don't remember. I think I saw it one time. I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't like the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have to definitely do a Star Wars rewatch all the way through. But I definitely not vibing with the new movies. So this show definitely felt like Star Wars to me.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Because they're both kind of heading up all these Disney Plus shows right now. And I think that they're the ones that are really like, we want to have these TV shows feel like the shows, or feel like the movies that we grew up watching kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So the show is set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. No, what movie? The third one.
Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
Right? Okay. You shook your head no, and I'm like, what?
Oh.
Yeah, so it's set 10 years after the third movie, Revenge of the Sith. So in the third movie, obviously Obi-Wan and Anakin
Execute Order 66.
Yes, they have a huge fight scene at the end where Anakin loses the remaining 3 limbs he has left and is basically burnt to a crisp. And then Padme births the twins, Luke and Leia.
Yep. And
then they're separated. And then Obi-Wan he's kind of watching over Luke, and he's eventually going to oversee his Jedi training.
Mm-hmm.
And then Leia goes to
the Organa family.
Yes. So I guess it's revealed in the show, we'll talk about that later, that Obi-Wan doesn't know that Anakin is still alive. Yeah, but that's kind
and that he's Darth Vader.
Yeah, so that's kind of like way skipping ahead. But I guess we can kind of walk through the episodes and just talk a little bit about our thoughts. It's not like a breakdown podcast because we're not experts, but we can kind of tell you our thoughts on it.
So we've only watched the show once because we have busy lives. So we need to rewatch them, and then I think that's what we're going to try to do next time we break down an episode, is watch them twice so we get like the first like, oh my gosh, it's a show, like, and it's new, and then the second time we'll like retain it a little bit more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, when you have to take notes, it kind of ruins the fun environment of like watching a show or a movie. So definitely second rewatch. Unfortunately, I just ended up getting really sick the past few days and basically was bedridden, could barely move.
Yeah.
But I still worked a couple days. But it is what it is. So
that's why we haven't had a podcast out in a few days, because we were going to record one, and she's like, I can do it. I'm okay. I'm running 100-degree temperature, but I'm fine. And she's like half asleep when she was walking around the house. So we did not record the podcast that night. And she was freaking out because she was like, I'm running a fever. And I'm like, well, we're not recording the podcast then. So
yeah, I really wanted to, because when a new episode or a new movie drops, we want to be able to get this out there as quickly as possible. And here we are. It's Tuesday. Episode 3 drops tomorrow of the show. So we're a little late, but nonetheless. So anyway, moving on. So we are introduced to the Inquisitors, which are basically
Darth Vader's killing squad for the Jedi.
Yes. So a lot of them used to be Jedi who've basically just turned to the dark side.
Yep.
So what do you think about Reva?
I've already seen the backlash of all the people hating on her.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
They think that she's too angsty, and that pretty much that she shouldn't know who Vader is. And a lot of it's just mad people just being mad at Star Wars fans. Star Wars fans being Star Wars fans and mad at the content. So I think she was great. To me, she embodied what like a Sith dark side user would be.
Yeah. Like,
I don't care. I'm killing a Jedi, no matter what it takes.
Yeah. So at the beginning of episode 1, the show started off with executing Order 66, which was the Prime Chancellor or whatever, basically wanting to kill all of the Jedi. And so at the beginning of the show, we get to see basically the slaughter of most of the Jedi, and we're in the temple with the younglings, and we get to see a group of them, and there's a theory out there that one of them was Reva. And she was in the Jedi temple, so maybe she met Anakin and did training with him. We don't know. That's just a theory. But we get to see a lot of them just be executed. And so it's 10 years later in the show after Order 66 was executed, and most of the Jedi are pretty much extinct.
Yeah, in hiding.
What else do you think about episode 1? It's hard to differentiate because it's been almost a week since we've watched it. Yeah. The difference, like what was in episode 1 and what was in episode 2.
Well, what I liked so far about just Obi-Wan himself is that you really start to see, like, he's been doing the same thing for 10 years. He goes to that, or maybe not the same thing, but it's like a repeat every day.
Yeah.
He cuts off that meat. He gets on that boat, that sand boat. They go back to Tatooine. He gets on his camel thing, goes home, and then comes back. Yeah. It's like the same thing over and over again. So it kind of just shows you that his life as a Jedi is like definitely no more. Like, he's completely cast it to the side.
Yeah.
And you just really get that vibe of, like, he's just living to live now, and he's not, like, living for the greater good.
Yeah, it was really sad to watch, honestly. Just him live this very mundane life and not use the Force, really not engage with anyone. He's just in solitude.
Yeah.
I feel like they aged Ewan McGregor up. Do you think so? Because it's
yeah, I think they grizzle him up a little bit, but I mean, he's getting older.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think in all honesty, I think it kind of worked out perfectly how the prequels lined up, and now they're having a TV show like years later after the prequels, and it's like, oh, he's aged up into old Ben Kenobi now.
Yeah.
So it kind of works out, I think.
Yeah. So, at one point there is a Jedi who basically, I guess he was looking for Obi-Wan, and he said that he needed Obi-Wan's help, and Obi-Wan basically turned him down. He pretended like he didn't know what he was talking about, and then we see that Jedi later is dead.
Yeah.
And that was really heartbreaking to see that normally
he would have helped him out.
He would have helped him.
Yeah.
And he didn't, and this poor guy died.
Yep.
It was crazy to see.
What I thought was crazy, whenever that he was like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's like, he uses like a different voice when he talks to the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Ben Kenobi, or I'm Ben. I'm not Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And the guy totally is like, you're Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I just like how he uses like a different voice to try to mask that he was not Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He told him to bury his lightsaber in the sand and forget about it and just move on with his life.
Yep. Which
we find out is what Obi-Wan has done. He's buried his lightsaber with Anakin's.
Yeah.
Which was really depressing to see. So one thing that a lot of people noticed, I didn't catch the detail because it's been a long time since I've watched all of the films, was the toy that Obi-Wan was trying to put together for Luke.
Oh, yeah.
In this show as a child. In episode 4, A New Hope, Luke is actually playing with that toy.
Yep.
So he's eventually going to get it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool that's such a specific detail. And like, I mean, people are like super fans to be able to notice something like that, but they exist, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
That's the attention to detail that I'm talking about with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're going to pull, like, all the nostalgia and, like, all the things that you don't think matter in the old movies. Like, we're eventually going to come around to that, and that matters. Kind of like in The Mandalorian, whenever, season 1, whenever he's got that, they called it, like, the ice cream pail, and it's just, like, a little bucket, and you see it in, oh my gosh, what's the 5th movie called?
The 5th movie?
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back. You see it in there on Cloud City, and then you don't ever see it, but it was like a big, like, what was that? And then years later, it's like, oh my gosh, that had Beskar in it, and it's like the Mandalorian. So it's just one of those cool things that, like, they noticed, and then they, you know, like, oh, we're going to actually make something out of this.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit about Obi-Wan. We're introduced to young Leia. I mean, we see Luke a little bit.
Yeah.
But the first 2 episodes are more focused on Leia. I thought the casting was perfect.
Yeah.
This sweet little girl looks like Carrie Fisher, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Has this great personality where she's like super spunky, but kind of like blissfully ignorant, as some kids are, but she kind of maintains that same level of like ignorance in like A New Hope.
Yeah.
Just kind of like that attitude.
Yeah.
And
she's a smarty pants.
she is. She really is. And then I love the scene where she was getting dressed up for an event, and then she had a decoy dress up as her, just like Padme used to use a decoy.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool tie-in.
Yeah. And funny.
Yeah. Both Luke and Leia kind of run away from their adoptive parents and kind of go hide and watch spaceships.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And they both have a droid.
Mm-hmm. That little ladybug droid is going to be the next big Star Wars toy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Lola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Leia ends up getting kidnapped by people that were hired by Reva.
Yep.
Because Reva has seen the connection between Obi-Wan and Leia's adoptive father. What's his name?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
The Organas.
Yeah.
I don't know the names. I just know they're the Organa family.
Yeah, so she's made that connection, and she kidnaps Leia, and Leia's father goes straight to Obi-Wan and says, "You're the only one I trust to do this. We need you to help get her back." And he initially declines. He's like really hesitant, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, what the heck? You know?
Yeah. But I think that's what they wanted you to think is like, oh man, he really is a dick now. Like, because he doesn't want anything to do with anything Jedi related beyond watching Luke grow up. Mm-hmm. So
But then he finally comes around.
Yeah.
When her father actually shows up in person.
Yep.
And asks for him.
Yeah.
So he goes and unburies his lightsaber, which, like we talked about earlier, was buried with Anakin's, which makes you almost like want to cry when you see that. I don't know. It made me like upset, but I'm a girl, so maybe that's just.
When I first watched it, I thought it was just his lightsaber in two pieces. I didn't notice it. I
noticed it. And I don't notice every detail for sure.
Yeah.
But I did notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. And then when I was watching a couple breakdown videos, I was like, oh, that makes more sense now.
Okay, so he's agreed to go find her. Yeah. And then we show up on Daiyu, which is a new planet. Mm-hmm. And it's supposedly modeled after Hong Kong.
Interesting.
I did a little bit of research. I did not make that connection, although it looks similar.
Yeah.
He runs into a clone trooper.
Yeah. Played by Tamara Morrison, which was hilarious and sad at the same time, because you're like, man, what's the clone's life after Order 66 anyway? I mean, we kind of know what some of them are, or some of them do, like what they do, because we're obviously going to get that in like the Ahsoka Tano TV series and all that, but it was just a little bit sad to see that, but at the same time a little funny, just because he's a great actor.
Yeah. He also runs into a girl with
Spice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spice. Yep. And she's got pink hair. That's his actual daughter in real life. So that is so cool. That's a cool detail.
Yeah.
But he buys Spice from her.
He doesn't buy Spice. She gives him the Spice.
Okay.
She's like, here, this one's on me, and says something else. I can't remember what she says. I just know she gives it to him because later on, that's what he throws on the ground.
Yes.
To drug those three guys.
Yeah, so long story short, he obviously finds Leia.
Yeah.
We'll try to stick to the important details because you could talk for hours about breaking down everything. And
I want to talk about the Kumail Nanjiani.
You do?
Yeah, because I thought that was really funny.
Mm.
I don't know how you say his name. I probably just butchered that. But the fake Jedi scene was hilarious. Like the magnets and like the tricks. I thought it was great. Because a Jedi whenever they have their saber on, they're like clipped to their belt.
They hide it.
They hide it, and he's got his like dangling out in the front.
Yeah.
And it's like large and just like in charge, like just dangling out. And, like it looks kind of dorky, and like the little hand gestures that he does that like oh, you know, I'll do it to save your life, but pay me kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just thought that was great.
I thought it was funny.
I thought he did a great job like playing like a swindler kind of character.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so that leads us to Obi-Wan asking, like, you're a rat. A rat knows their way around around this place. Where are they hiding this girl? So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, long story short, he finds her.
Yeah.
And then he gets her out of there pretty quick. They go out onto the street, make a quick wardrobe change, and then Leia is not quite understanding the severity of the situation. She's asking a lot of questions about him being a Jedi. Are you a real Jedi? My dad didn't send an army. He just sent you. Show me that you're a Jedi. I want you to make me float. And he's like, oh my gosh, we got to get out of here. We got to change our clothes really quick. At some point, she sees his face pop up on
bounty puck.
Yeah, a bounty puck.
Yep.
And it freaks her out.
Yep. And then she's like,
she runs away from him.
Yeah. Which I'm a little iffy about the chase scenes whenever the people chase Leia. It's very like campy, like, oh my gosh, this little girl is outrunning 3 grown men.
Oh yeah, at the beginning, like in episode 1 when they were in the forest.
Yeah, well,
like really?
Yeah, well that and even Kenobi is like, dude, catch the little girl. And like I know it's like a busy, crowded street, and it's a little bit more like realistic, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And I guess he didn't want to draw attention to himself. Maybe that's why he was like
probably trying to corner her in an area that wasn't as visible.
Yeah.
Or something.
But the wood scene, I was like, oh my gosh, it almost looked like something out of Power Rangers.
It did. Yeah, that was pretty silly. I noticed that too. I'm like, really? You guys are like hardly even trying, but you're like tripping all over the place trying to catch her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they end up on a rooftop, right?
Yep.
And explain that fight scene to me, because I don't recall most of it and who they were. Just bounty hunters, right?
Yeah, the guys that were shooting at him were just bounty hunters. And then obviously Reva is watching from above.
Yeah.
On the rooftop.
So
and she starts like parkouring.
Yeah,
over
for sure.
to where he's at.
I like her. She looked like a freaking badass.
Yeah, I agree. But that they were definitely bounty hunters, just trying to collect the bounty. So she sees it. She starts like chasing after them, and then we get like Leia still running away from Obi-Wan, and she gets on the edge of the building and falls. Then Obi-Wan uses the Force finally.
Yes. So I thought this scene was really interesting because it's like everyone else disappeared the entire time. So he's really it's been years, obviously, since he's used the Force. Yeah. So he had to really, really focus and really try to pull it out of himself. But he does, and he is able to basically stop her from hitting the ground right before she hits the ground. She kind of levitates.
Yeah.
And then he kind of lowers her down.
Yeah.
And then we skip to him being down there with her. It's like, what happened to all of the bounty hunters?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Did you notice that?
No.
Did they just disappear?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I was like, did he defeat all of the bounty hunters in the past 3 seconds?
Yeah. That's just one of those weird cut clippy things that happens in TV shows, I feel like.
Yeah. But anyway.
But so that we go pretty much back to another rooftop, to like a cargo ship. And the I can't think of his name, but the guy that was acting like a Jedi. Do you know his name?
Oh, no.
Oh. I think it's Haja. I think it's what his name in the show. But he gives him this like key card to a cargo ship, and they run up to this cargo ship area and try to escape, but Reva shows up.
Yeah.
And starts talking.
Yes.
And she can definitely sense him there. That's why she's like provoking him, like, Obi-Wan, like, I know what you did, or like I know where you're hiding, and all that kind of things.
So she mentions something about Vader.
Yep.
And you can see it in his face, like he had no idea
that it was Anakin.
Anakin was alive and that he was Vader.
Yeah. Because I'm sure he's heard, like...
Because she stated his name, Anakin Skywalker.
Well, yeah. But I'm sure he's heard, like, rumors about Darth Vader. Like...
Well, he's not socialized with anybody. Like, he's been in complete isolation.
Yeah, I know that. But I'm just saying, like, I'm sure he's heard the townies of Tatooine talk about.
Could be. We failed to mention earlier that he has been having nightmares.
Yep.
About Anakin.
Pretty much all the prequel stuff.
Yeah.
It's like anytime you get a nightmare, it's like a flashback to the prequel movies.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So he had been having nightmares, and then he finds out Anakin's alive. Where are we at from there?
That pretty much ends the episode.
Well, so Reva...
Oh, she kills the Grand Inquisitor.
Well, she stabs him.
Oh, yeah.
She stabs him through the stomach with her lightsaber.
Yep.
Because she's just basically tired of his nonsense, and she thinks he's holding her back, and he's really not doing his job.
He'll be back, though, because he's in the Rebels TV show. Which is animated.
Yeah.
Animated TV show. So, it's kind of like one of those things, like, oh, he's not technically dead, but he's dead for what we think, at least.
Mm-hmm. And then we end the episode with what we've all been waiting for, or at least me. Like, I was so excited to see. Well, like, Hayden Christensen is obviously in the show, and you're like, when is he gonna make his appearance? Because we haven't, like, episode 3 ended, you know, and you got to see, like, basically nothing of Anakin being Darth Vader. And so we get to see him at the very end in his Bacta tank, which is supposed to be like a healing tank, meditative tank. And he opens his eyes and they're like red.
Yeah.
And we see, like, obviously he's burned. He's got his breathing apparatus on.
Yeah. That's going to be the fun part of the show, is like, when is he actually going to show up?
I cannot wait.
I think they're going to tease it for like 2 more episodes, and he's going to show up in the last like 2. I think it's a 6-episode series.
No.
Yeah.
They better start episode 3 tomorrow with...
No, that's not happening.
They better.
That's not happening.
This is why I like to binge watch. This is why I like to binge watch shows, because I do not like to wait.
Millennial.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the suspense, because it makes you like think, like, what the hell is going to happen next week?
I can't wait. Oh my gosh. So cool. I actually, there's something so fascinating to me about the fact that he was Anakin Skywalker, and then he got all of his limbs cut off and was burnt to a crisp. I'm like so fascinated by that. And like now, like, why would you want to live after that? But he is. I'm just excited to see that.
My bold prediction is Mace Windu shows back up in the show.
I hope so. That would be cool.
At some point. I mean, we never see him die. We see him fall out of a building, but we don't see a body.
That reminded me of a thought I had in the show. And because Mace Windu got his right hand cut off, and like anybody, when they get their hand cut off in the show, it's always their right, or in the movies, it's always their right hand. And at the beginning, Reva actually cut this lady's hand off, her right hand.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, the right hand.
That's what you said when we were watching. Like, it was the right hand. I was like, oh, okay. It's because I was like, what kind of significance is that?
It's because they literally all lose their right hand.
Interesting.
Anakin lost his right hand. Luke lost his right hand. Mace Windu lost his right hand.
Wow. Didn't know that.
And I feel like in episode 6, Return of the Jedi, when Luke cuts off Vader's prosthetic hand, because obviously he's basically a robot.
It's a right hand.
It's his right hand.
Interesting.
I think it's his right hand. It's been a minute since I've watched any of the movies. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the series. I love, how do you say it?
Ewan
McGregor.
Yeah. I mean, overall thoughts, I'm really excited. It feels like Star Wars again.
Yeah.
It feels like a continuation of the first 3 movies, which is what I've always wanted. Because there's so much time in between, and unfortunately they can't give us what we want. And the new movies 7, 8, and 9, I don't know what happens in them, but I'm pretty sure they messed it up. So if we could just have a redo of that would be great.
Typical Star Wars fan.
Give us what we want.
Like the sequel movies. I just want a redo of the 3 movies.
Well, they redo a lot of things. So, I mean, we've had like 84 Batmans. Not Disney, but anyway, so overall thoughts, really excited about the show. Feels like Star Wars, very nostalgic. I think they did a great job with the casting choices that we've seen so far. Yeah,
I agree. I'm excited. So
okay. So do you want to talk about Star Wars Celebration news?
Yes. Lots and lots of news. So obviously I think the only reason they dropped Obi-Wan Kenobi was because that was the start of Star Wars Celebration last Friday. Because I think that's when we got the episode. No, it wasn't Wednesday, I don't think.
I don't remember because the past 4 days have felt like
one continuous
a
day.
Big glob since I was asleep for half the time.
Yeah. But I want to say that's what it was, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, so we started out with Star Wars Celebration, and the first thing that I noticed was the Andor trailer, which is it's based off the Rogue One character, Cassian Andor.
Okay.
You have no idea because you didn't like Rogue One.
Yeah. I don't think I even finished Rogue One.
I really like Rogue One. It's like one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
To be completely fair, I need to rewatch all of the movies and quit whining about it and just do it. And I would probably like them more if I rewatch them.
Yeah, and she needs to rewatch the Marvel shows, which she keeps whining about, but still hasn't done it yet either. She's not a hypocrite, but like,
oh my god.
I'm gonna watch, like, I want to do this podcast, and I'm like, all right, then you gotta watch these shows. I'll just wait till the next season. I was like, well, some of these shows aren't even getting a next season.
Well, okay, so if we're gonna talk about something in the podcast, it's most likely gonna be relevant to the time. So
no, I get that, but you still gotta watch it so you know.
Well, going back to what I like to do, which would be binge watch shows, that way I can binge watch season 1 and then right into season 2. And then it'll be nice, fresh, relevant in my mind.
Okay. Well.
But anyway, what were you saying?
Rogue One.
Okay.
Great movie that you didn't like originally. You might change your tone whenever we watch it again, but you did not like it.
Rey's the main character.
No.
Who's in Rogue One?
Cassian Andor. And I cannot think of the girl's name. But they die in the end of the movie anyway. They both die.
Okay.
The whole cast dies. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen a movie that's like 8 years old now.
Yeah.
So Andor is going to be released on August 31st of this year. And the teaser trailer is all online. And the show will consist of a 12 episodes with 12 more coming. So it's going to be 2 seasons.
Okay.
So that's quite a bit of episodes.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. And the series will follow Cassian Andor 5 years before we see him in Rogue One. And Cassian, who is a thief that becomes a revolutionary and joins the rebellion. So this leads up into A New Hope.
Okay.
The whole movie does.
Okay. So Rogue One would have been in between 3 and 4.
3 and 4, yes. This is where they blow up Leia's planet. That's where they die. Because then it goes into A New Hope.
Okay.
So that comes out. Second thing is not technically Disney related, but it is Star Wars related, and it is the Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is a video game. It follows the Fallen Order video game, and so we're pretty much picking back up with Cal Kestis, who was the main character in Fallen Order, and sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. This, I guess, in this game, we're pretty much following up with what happened and pretty much just how he's escaping the Empire the whole time. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because it's kind of relevant, but kind of not relevant. But I loved Fallen Order. It was a really fun video game, and this ought to be fun as well. So we're getting that. Oh. This is the big one. And because you haven't, I don't know, have you watched season 2 of The Mandalorian?
No.
No. You watched bits and pieces, but you didn't watch a whole thing.
Yeah.
Because you didn't watch anything with Ahsoka.
No.
What?
I lose interest very quickly.
Yeah,
like
she's over there scrolling on her phone real quick.
I watched maybe 30 minutes of a movie today, and it had like 50 minutes left, so I had watched it previously, watched 30 more minutes of it, hardly paid any attention to it because I was playing on my phone, and then I went to go do something else.
Yeah.
So
when Ashley watches something, you have to take her phone away from her.
Yeah.
Or put it in another room.
Well, I feel like the whole phone situation has given us all like ADHD.
Yeah.
Like my brain, like I could literally watch 2 movies at the same time. Like if we had 2 TVs in the living room,
Yeah.
with the subtitles on,
Oh,
I could watch. Listen, I could watch both movies at the same time and follow along, and that would keep my attention.
No. Subtitles. Her and her subtitles. I'll only watch a show if you turn on the subtitles, and I am not about subtitles.
Okay, so the reason I started watching shows with subtitles is because Outlander, which I love, there are several, like, they speak French in season 2 a lot, and you need subtitles to understand what's happening. And also helps to keep me focused because I don't want to miss anything they're saying. And actors are just like everybody else. Sometimes you can't understand what they've said. So anyway, little rant of the day. Yep.
So you haven't watched Mandalorian season 2, but Ahsoka Tano shows up in that show.
Yes, I do know that.
Big deal.
Yeah, because you were really excited because I would say she's like one of our favorite actresses.
Yeah.
Because she's in Daredevil.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
She's in The Punisher, right?
No, but she's in Clerks.
Was she in any episodes of The Punisher?
Maybe one.
I feel like I saw her in The Punisher.
She's in Luke Cage, though, too.
Okay.
But yeah, she's in a lot of good movies.
Yeah, she's great.
I think she's perfect casting for Ahsoka. But Ahsoka, live action series. And obviously we receive the return of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. We will see also the live action characters of Sabine Wren, Chopper, which they had at Star Wars Celebration, which is a droid. Let's see here. I'm going to butcher this name. Hera Syndulla and Ezra Bridger. Another animated character. Obviously, these are all animated characters that are coming to live action, so it'll be really cool to see what they do. I don't know a whole lot about what the show is going to be about because the synopsis online is pretty vague, but it is coming this year, so looking forward to that. Next, we have a new series coming in 2023 called The Skeleton Crew. Stars Jude Law, created by John Watts, who directed Spider-Man, and Christopher Ford. And the quick synopsis of that show is a group of 10-year-old kids from a small planet get lost in a galaxy far, far away and must find their way home. This takes place after Return of the Jedi and will fit in with the Mandalorian timeline. So, have no idea what that's going to be about, but I really like the Spider-Man movies, and John Watts that directed the Spider-Man movies, I thought he did a great job, and this kind of makes sense because it's like he did a really good job with like high school kids and like high school drama. So like if it's going to be like a kid show, not a kid show, but like kids in the show, I think it'll be like a really good show. Also, we're getting Mandalorian season 3, which is going to be crazy because that's my favorite Star Wars thing ever.
I'm old school.
I just love the show. Not just because of Baby Yoda, but I really like Pedro Pascal as Mandalorian. And from what I've seen about season 3 is that it's going to be Mando's return to Mandalore, the planet, and pretty much he's going to be battling Bo-Katan Kryze, which is another Mandalorian, which you don't know who it is, but man, if you would just watch a show, we would have so much more to talk about because I feel like I'm just like rambling on here.
No, you're doing a great job. Like, my expertise is in Disney, like the Disney parks. That's going to be like my expertise in this podcast. And
no,
then
I get it. I'm just like, man, I feel like an idiot right now because I'm just keep talking.
No, you're doing a great job. There's a lot of Star Wars news.
Returning characters that we'll see are Grief Karga, Carl Weathers. You know who that is, right? Apollo Creed.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming back. And a few other characters. Obviously, we're getting Grogu back, and I think there is going to be a cameo from Boba Fett, which would make sense, but I'm not, and it doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure he's going to show up in the show as well. So, it'll be an interesting show for sure.
I feel like I did watch this season 2 of The Mandalorian because I remember the finale episode and that amazing fight scene with Luke.
Yeah.
Or did I just dream that?
No, you're right. But you just watched that because I made you watch it because I was like, you gotta watch this. It's Luke.
I don't know. I feel like I remember a lot about season 2.
We're gonna have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
So a couple more things here. This is gonna be on the animated side of the Star Wars universe. So this past year, I think 2021, we had the show The Bad Batch, and now we're getting The Bad Batch season 2, which I actually watched the first few episodes, and I really liked the show for an animated show. I didn't watch the Clone Wars, and a lot of people are going to scold me for that because everyone's going to be like, you need to watch the Clone Wars TV show. But I did watch season 7 of the Clone Wars TV show, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I was like, oh, I'll give the show a watch, and it's actually really interesting. And I actually think you'd probably like it. I know you're not a big animated fan, but maybe if we have Grayson watch it, he'll like it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sold if we watch it with Grayson and it's something that we watch with him, but I'm probably not going to go out of my way to watch it on my own. That has changed slightly, though, since having him. We've been recently watching The Incredibles a lot.
Oh, man.
And Josh and I both have rediscovered how freaking amazing both the Incredibles movies are.
Yeah.
Just Pixar in general. We're blessed to have a child who likes Pixar.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
The Toy Story obsession was insane. That lasted for
2 years.
2 years. And it's Pixar. And those movies are fantastic. We didn't really watch Toy Story 1 very often, but 2, 3, and 4 are all really great.
Yeah.
Especially 2.
Yep.
Definitely my favorite. But I'm just grateful that Grayson has good taste.
Yeah.
In movies. So.
Well, and that's the crazy thing too. That's we haven't even watched the really kiddie shows like Cocomelon or any of that. It's we just
straight to Toy Story.
Yeah, straight to Toy Story, straight to Pixar. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, but I mean, I'm fine with it because some of those kid shows I can't even watch.
Yeah, that was a big concern for me becoming a parent was I don't know if I could handle that.
I don't mind watching the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. But
kill me.
The Cocomelon. Cocomelon, I remember watching one episode with him when he was little bitty, and I was like, oh my gosh, no. No, we're watching something else.
Yeah.
And we started watching Puppy Dog Pals.
Yeah.
Or something
He
like that.
used to love Puppy Dog Pals when he was little tiny.
Little baby.
Oh my gosh.
But
so cute. He would go crazy in his little bouncer.
Yeah.
When the theme song came on. Anyway.
Yeah.
Kids got good taste.
Yeah. So, Ashley, not a huge fan of animated shows. Maybe become a huge fan, or not a huge fan, but more of a fan with Grayson watching them. So, but yeah, that's it's pretty much going to follow what we were talking about is Bad Batch. After that side rant of Grayson.
Gotta keep real life in here a little bit.
Yeah. Bad Batch season 2 pretty much follows the same characters and a Wookiee Jedi. So
okay,
that'll be interesting.
Do you have anything else?
Yes, one more thing. And this was the bigger one. It is the Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, an animated series featuring Ahsoka, Count Dooku, and Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn.
Ooh.
Yep.
Liam Neeson.
Yep. And it's...
He's cast in it? Or do we not know?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
See, I was thinking he was going to show up in
Episode 1.
Yeah.
When he has the nightmare and he's like, Master.
Yeah, and then he wakes up and he's like, Master, because Yoda was going to teach him how to communicate with Qui-Gon.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll show up eventually, I think, in the show. I think he will. But I'm not sure. It doesn't say that it is voiced by him, but it is an animated show.
Okay.
And it's going to have pretty much a baby Ahsoka. Come here and look at the picture. It's a baby Ahsoka. So,
cute.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to pick up on like all these younger characters. So like a younger Qui-Gon Jinn, a younger Count Dooku, and pretty much a baby Ahsoka Tano. But not much is... I mean, we don't know much other than that it's coming because we weren't at Star Wars Celebration. So
yeah.
All the people... I mean, there's probably more stuff out there now, but this is just the notes I had written down from a couple days ago.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and most of it's coming next, like, from now to next year. So there's a lot of Star Wars content coming to Disney Plus, which is a good thing because there's a lot of good Star Wars shows. Oh, and also I'm going to, since it is Disney, going to add the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation revealed at Star Wars Celebration, which I have no idea what it's going to be about. That's coming. And then, since Star Wars is technically Lucasfilm, we've got our first images of Indiana Jones 5. Which is Harrison Ford's return as Indiana Jones. And then we also have the new show coming to Disney Plus, Willow.
Willow?
Yep.
Based on the movie?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, with
Val Kilmer.
Warwick Davis will return.
Okay. So,
Willow.
No, the one before that.
Indiana Jones?
Yeah, so in one of our previous podcasts, we talked about what we would like to see changed at the parks. And we talked about the Indiana Jones not being relevant right now.
Oh, yeah, it's about to be really relevant.
Yeah, and you said, oh, well, it'll be relevant if they do another movie.
Yeah.
Do another movie.
Yep. Yeah, and I totally forgot about this movie, but I guess Harrison Ford got, like, really in shape for this movie. So, it'll be pretty good. Pretty good movie, I guarantee it. And he's normally, like, very anti-Star Wars.
Yeah.
And, like, very anti-movie in general here lately, but he sounds really excited for this movie.
Okay.
So, I'm excited because I love Harrison Ford. So.
All right.
Yeah, that's all the Star Wars news that I've got. You've heard me ramble on for like 20 minutes now by myself and Ashley just barely chiming in. So, yeah.
I'm sure I'll talk a lot more next week. So.
Yeah, I think next week we need to do a Pixar.
Okay, so couple of things. We have not discussed even remotely because I've been sick.
Yeah. What
the next podcast is going to be, but episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out tomorrow. So we're going to recap that and talk about that at some point. But I don't think that'll be a full podcast. Could be. We'll see, depending on the show. But we'll come up with something and then hopefully have another podcast out later this week, I would assume.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing right now is trying to nail down times of like when we want to do it and what we want to do because we're really just like excited to do a podcast in general.
Yeah.
So our episodes are kind of like, oh, here's an episode on a Tuesday and here's an episode on a Thursday and here's an episode on Sunday and a Monday.
I think just in general, as someone who listens to podcasts, anytime someone drops new content, I'm always excited for it. I don't care when it's dropped. If I like the channel, I listen to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully another podcast this week, and then I actually have a Sunday off.
Oh, nice.
So we'll have Grayson's entire nap time
to
maybe do 2 podcasts.
Yeah, and not be doing a podcast at 10 o'clock at night like we're doing right now.
Yeah. So
that's why our voices are like, my voice isn't normally this like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I've actually coming down with Ashley's crap that she had a couple days ago, so it's just lovely.
Anyway, so we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone. If you're still here, thank you for listening and supporting our podcast. Give us a rating on whatever platform you are listening. Share with your friends, and we are very excited for where this is going to take us.
Yep. So, like she said, like and subscribe. Check us out on all the social media. Instagram. Did you say Instagram?
Yeah. So we have an Instagram, BTE podcast. I believe it's pretty much linked in the descriptions of all of the podcasts.
And we have 9 followers on there now.
9 followers. Making bank.
And then also the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Which isn't going to have our faces or anything. It'll just have some... I figured you could just use the...
I use the thumbnails.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying you can use the Star Wars Celebration art and then like an Obi-Wan Kenobi poster.
Okay.
Just spitballing here.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Have a good day.